Christian Falk für Sportbild.
Vincent, you don't like it to talk about individual players, but it's a very special player, Thomas Müller. He started in the first game. In the second game, Serge Gnabry got the nod ahead of him. Every game could be his last now for Bayern Munich. Can you tell us how big the chances are for him to start tomorrow's game, how many minutes he will get, and why didn't he play in the last game? Well, I'm not going to talk about minutes for tomorrow, and the starting 11 is a question of competition. We have a lot of good players in the squad, and everyone has his role, and every role is important for us. And that's why I have to say I'm not looking at the individual minutes. For me, it's important that the collective works, because that's what makes us strong, and that's what was the case till now. Vincent, a lot has been talked about the weather and the heat. Some are talking about 107 degrees Fahrenheit. That's almost 40 degrees Celsius. How did you prepare the team, and do you see that critical that the games are being played at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Well, it's not on me to judge whether that is critical or not. The medical experts should have their saying, but it could be a factor tomorrow. It could get really hot, and that could influence the game, but that's the same for both teams, and that's the only thing that's really fair. That's that Benfica has the same environment as we have, but if it feels like 40 degrees, then well, it's not the same situation like in the Champions League when we played during wintertime against them. It's going to be completely different tomorrow. It's going to influence the game, no doubt about that. But we're going to plan accordingly. We're not going to be surprised that it's that hot.
Yes, hello, Arch Bell with FIFA.com. Vincent, can you just highlight for all of us here what stands out about Benfica when you look at them and how you approach this game? What stands out about Benfica?
Well, we played them before, so it's a team we know really well. And there's always the two sides to these games. We play against teams who are extremely dominant in the league, with high quality. I think Pavlidis, Di Maria, Aktürkoğlu and Kokshu and so on, and I can keep naming them. They're all players who can score goals. They're all players who are used to be killers in the leagues. And obviously then for them, when they play against teams like us, there's always this mix between sometimes adapting to the opponent or continuing and finding the balance between still continuing your way. So you see these games being not always as predictable, because you're watching a lot of games from them where they're super dominant. But tomorrow we have the same goal as we have the same ambition for that game. So in that sense, it creates sometimes a different picture than what you actually see on a day-to-day basis from them, because they're always the best in the league.
Auch in der ersten Reihe Vincent Schirpke für TZ Merkur.
Hello, KOMPANY.
Hello, Mr. Company. What differences did you see between the European and the South American teams? And Bayern plays against different teams with different profiles. How important is it to have flexible players to adapt to that? Well, I think that tactically a lot is happening in Europe as well. That's completely normal in the modern-day football, that you have to make switches and adaptations during a game. but you try to not change your principles completely. And the South American teams, they did a good job so far, but it's not a surprise. That's what I said earlier already, if you know the quality in South America and how the games go. But the biggest difference is how this tournament is being received in South America. And I know to all of us, it's completely our number one priority, but I think in Europe it's a bit of a difference how this is being received compared to how the South Americans are experiencing this tournament. But other than that, there are no huge surprises. We know that against Boca, we've seen how much emotions are playing a role, not only the tactical or the physical aspects of games. But I believe that we have the rhythm now and that there are not too many surprises as we've seen so many games already.
Arturo Uzcategui for Noventa Sports. Going into your second year after coming off of a very successful first season and these past two matches, what are some things that you have seen that you can say that you can the team can still improve going into the third match and then moving forward in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us I mean, it's asking a little bit about last season as well and what the conclusions are from last season. I think we've been the better team in most games. I don't think there's many games. There will be 1 or 2 or 3 games that you'll find where, of course, we had an off day. That happens. But I don't think you'll find many games where we were ever not the better team. But of course, you want to win all the trophies, and for that you need to be there in every big moment as well. And you need to have all your players available, fit. So if there's anything I could wish for our team, I mentioned some of the underlying numbers to our performance that are really positive in one of the last press conferences. But if I'm looking forward towards what we want for the future, of course, is just in the big moments having all our players available so that we give ourselves the best possible chance to win the other trophies as well, to win more. But it's football, I was looking at the other day. I was just sat across Thomas Müller, and I realized that obviously he won 2 Champions League, which is unbelievable. But he has 17 attempts or 18 attempts, and that's how demanding these competitions are. And the Club World Cup is maybe even less attempts that you get. And so these big competitions are about big moments, and for that you need your squad to be fully there. And so that's how we're trying to work our way towards the next step, because in the content we showed a lot of promising signs.
Next one in the last row. Can you show your hand, please? Yeah.
Hi. Hello, Vincent. Would you buy a draw tomorrow? It could be a good result for both teams because of the hit.
I cannot speak about a draw. It's impossible.
And the another question: what Benfica do you expect tomorrow? Different from the Benfica from the Champions League?
Honestly, I don't know. I know what they did against us in the Champions League very, very clearly. They were extremely compact in a 5-3-2. They were trying to use transitions with the wing-backs and the 2 strikers they had, releasing sometimes one of the midfielders. That was very clear. But we were more or less, always pushing and pushing them really deep. So for us, it wasn't a bad game at all. And then obviously the rest of the games, and when you watch them against Boca, they were more aggressive in a back 4, trying to press higher, trying to also dominate the game. So because it's 2 different sides, it's for us the best way to prepare these games is to prepare for both scenarios, or maybe 2 or 3 scenarios. And if they're in a deep block, we will be prepared. If they press high, we will do our homework as well. And the how they will play tomorrow, I think only the Benfica players and the coach can answer.
Next one on the right side, yeah, please.
Hi, Vincent. You have worked in a few clubs. You have a lot of experience. I would like to hear your thoughts on Bayern's mentality, because the club is known for its hard work and professionalism. So I would like you to hear what you think about that, please.
Yeah, I think it's something we will even share with many clubs at this World Cup, because all the clubs here are winners in one way or another. It's the same at, I can imagine it's the same at Benfica. I think it's something we live every day. It's that sort of a feeling that even winning is not enough. You're always looking for more. If you perform well and you don't win, it's a story. If you win and you don't perform well, it's a story. And if you win but you don't win everything, it's also something, right? So, but I think that's what we're used to as well. So I think, other than that, there's obviously a very strong cultural side for Bayern Munich, where I think the sort of minimum expectation is that you show real hard work. I think that's something that for a top club and a top team is definitely lives very strongly here, at the center. So we try and match these expectations, and then the exciting part about football is everything else is, as long as you're in the game, as long as you're there, you have a chance